lot of black people, because of the viciousness of the and the intensity of the criticism of Clarence Thomas, ended up siding with Clarence Thomas, even though they did not feel comfortable with his political policies. And
so what's this got? All this got to do with Herman Cain?
With Cain is this. I think people need to be careful in trying to make a lot of the sexual, misconduct allegations that are being made about Mr. Cain. I think that some of the allegations, all of these allegations go back 14, 15 years. They could not, be accepted as credible in any court in this country because they are too old. And you do have to ask the question legitimately whether or not, if he was not running for president and if he was not a Republican black conservative, whether or not these people would actually be coming forward to criticize him for these things in the past. And then secondly, if you look closely at the issues, there is no doubt that these settlements, there's a semantics issue about whether they're settlements or settlements, or whether they're settlements or agreements to terminate. And I think that it is true, and people have to be honest about the fact that there are many, many times that women have turned out to be trumping up charges against men. And this age-old sexual thing with blacks and white women is again something that a lot of black people, black women as well as black men, are not comfortable with. And they see it as something that is used to bring black people down. And there have been so many black men who have been lynched in the past for false allegations of looking at white women or having sexual ambitions for white women. And in most cases, those were proven to be false. But the lynching of the black man occurred nonetheless. And so when you look closely at this woman, and there was an article published in the Washington Post recently, a thoughtful piece that was published, and this woman brought up the fact that she, the one who was on TV with the famous feminist attorney Gloria Allred, that this woman, if you look at the photo of her, she seems to really be relishing the moment. She has a big smile on her face, and she seems to be relishing her 15 minutes of fame a little bit too much. And secondly, she had been fired, not having anything to do with Herman Cain. She agreed to go out to dinner with him. He upgraded her hotel. She had drinks with him. She rode in the car with him. All of these kinds of things. And so some people, some women feel that she was inviting attention from him and giving at the least mixed signals when she claims he subsequently put his hand up her skirt. Now, she also said that a couple of months prior, she had seen him at an event that he attended and spoke at in Chicago, and she said she went up to him from within the crowd and spoke to him, and she wanted to talk with him, and she wanted to see if he remembered her, and I think she said she gave him a hug. Now, this has been questioned in terms of, well, what's the consistency? Why would you want to actually go up and speak to him in a crowd in Chicago and make a friendly gesture of giving him a hug if in fact he had done these awful, terrible, sexually aggressive things to you 14, 15 years ago that you're now on TV, 2 months later with Gloria Allred claiming it was outrageous.
So this happened, this meeting they had was recent.
2 months ago. And he said he didn't remember her. So it's quite possible that she was offended by that, and that somebody might be putting her up to, this. And then the other woman who works now in the federal government.
He's married. Cain is married?
Yes. The second woman, who I think is also a blonde, works currently in the federal government. She too has some questions about her veracity and her image, because she's been involved in other sex abuse cases, charged cases, and when you look at the issues that are involved there, those appear to be very, very questionable as well. So I think that this might turn out to be a series of very weak and potentially frivolous and unfair charges against Cain, and he might in fact be able to ride these out. And if there is any funny business that turns up in these cases, it's going to boomerang back in his favor. And I think finally, people need to look at the body language. Look at the body language of Cain when he's under questioning. Look at the body language in the subsequent debates on TV, and see how he's handling himself. Because I don't think a fair reading of his body language indicates someone who is genuinely rattled or upset or in any way losing his composure under these attacks. And so I would just say that the pundits on the liberal media, on the left, and the black pundits and political opponents on the Democratic side, they need to be careful and not take the black masses and the ethnic masses, racial masses, for granted, that they are actually reading this situation with Cain the way they are, and they may make the same mistake that the Democratic liberal establishment and black punditry made in the case of Anita Hill and Justice Thomas. And I think that would be a very unfortunate thing, because Cain could come out of this strengthened rather than weakened. And so I think he's a viable force, viable candidate, and he could be a real serious problem going into, if he can survive, going into the 2012 elections.
How do you think the black pundits and the left liberal media is reading the Cain sex scandal right now?
I think they are trying to use it to destroy his candidacy. And I think
so in effect, kind of like,
I think they are part of a feeding frenzy. I think they're part of a feeding frenzy to bring him down. I think they think he's a joke. I don't think they really understand the implications of his candidacy, of the potential of it. And I think some who do, some in the liberal media who are astute enough to understand the potential danger, are panicked. And I think their panic mode is blinding them to some of the implications and some of the consequences of their excessive enthusiasm to bring him down. So that's my take on Cain, and I just say, stay tuned.
Boom. There it is.